This is where the story really starts.
So Zach Cregger says that Aunt Gladys's backstory is all smoke and mirrors. But come on, is anybody really believing that? The horror community's not buying it, and neither is the occult community.
Now, if you watch Weapons, you know that Aunt Gladys isn't just some kooky old lady with bad teeth and makeup. It seems she's a witch with origins rooted in black magic. But Cregger deflects, proposing that she might not even be human at all.
That's right, and today on Cryptic Cuts, we're gonna be asking the questions: who or what is Aunt Gladys? How potent is that spell? And what's gonna become of those bewitched children?
Aunt Gladys has gone viral. Reddit users are calling her a parasitic witch. TikTok keeps looping the branch ritual over and over again, and Google's hottest searches are Gladys's black magic, who controls the kids, and maybe we'll get Aunt Gladys prequel? Her presence is literally felt before the movie even gets to where it's going. You think about that call at the beginning to Miss Gandy? Yeah, her. You better watch your back. Archer's nightmares? Gladys again. She's been pulling the strings from the start, Joe.
Absolutely. It's safe to say that she's been the one in everybody's business. Everybody from the start of the movie's having problems, and you don't even see Aunt Gladys at all. But after watching it for a second time in theaters, we've come to realize that she was the cause of the problem the entire time. And in Archer's dream, that whole rifle scene with the 217, which was a reoccurring motif throughout the whole movie, it's safe to say that she was in there playing with his thoughts a little bit.
When you take a look at the 217 concept aspect, time frame, what just got everybody riled up, they go, what's going on with 217? Let me just give you guys a little bit of a magical lore here as I'm in my attempted Aunt Gladys garb, kind of. Not as colorful. 3 a.m. is the witching hour. It is the time to where most people that practice dark magic tend to get everything going. So maybe Cregger didn't want to land exactly on 3 a.m., but 217 was close enough.
And we don't know how old Aunt Gladys is. We don't know where she comes from. We don't know her entire backstory. So 217 and the time frame that they're at, where they're at in the story, might be 3 o'clock where she's from. It might be her time of power. A lot to leave open to interpretation here.
And I think that's what was Cregger's idea in general, was to keep this as open as possible, because we just are doing a whole episode on Gladys. That just goes to show you where this man's head was at with this movie.
When Aunt Gladys does appear on screen, she 100% seems to be masking her true form with that now iconic orange bob and the disheveled makeup. Some people are saying that she might be trying to lure the kids in for a youth spell, but what we do know 100% for sure is that she's bewitching these kids with some very dark black magic. She's using that dark holly tree. She's got hair, blood, personal items, and let me tell you, that is all a recipe for disaster. But here's the real kicker, the question that I know you and I both have. In the end of the movie, spoiler alert, when she dies, what happens to the spell? Is it lifted? Or is there a possibility that it's passed on to somebody else?
Gladys just isn't a character. She is quite literally a force. Where does all of that power go?
That's such a good question, because you know, she's using a little bit of blood magic here. If you know your lore, there's a high possibility that when there's blood magic involved, it is a lineage kind of thing, that there is a bloodline of users who have this power.
A rite of passage, if you will. So the question is it witchcraft, an allegory for power and control, or is it both? Drop what y'all think in the comments below.
¿Por qué no los dos? So getting into the acting a little bit, Amy Madigan, who played Aunt Gladys, said that this was one of her most gratifying roles ever. It's easy to see why. She was calculated in every little nuance that she brought to the screen. From terror to menace, she had it down pat.
And Cregger is a low-key genius. He actually gave Amy two choices, two background stories for Gladys. Either she's a dying witch clinging to life, or she's not even human at all, just pretending. And you know what? He never told any of us. She's not even saying which path she chose.
So nobody really knows. Thinking about it, there are points in the movie where you're convinced she's a witch. Towards the end, she does kind of turn into this creature, old, kind of disheveled crone kind of thing. So we're kind of wondering, what actually was Aunt Gladys?
When you see her in her state where she's deteriorating, she looks more pale, more gaunt, FX makeup, y'all ate. She starts to look more creature-esque and not human at all. So again, we really don't know. And she uses words in the movie that if you listen and catch on, she says Alex's parents have a bit of consumption. The principal's kind of like, I'm sorry, I don't think I've ever heard, I don't know what that means. That is a really old word for being sick. It makes you think, how old is she?
Is she even Alex's aunt?
Thank you.
I mean, there's so many questions. She is a total enigma.
Zach Cregger was like, well, I'm about to give y'all one hell of a mystery. People are craving this character. They are saying it's iconic. We haven't seen anything like it. And you know what? It's about time. We need it. Thank you, Zach Cregger.
From his origins in the Whitest Kids You Know sketch comedy show, any of you are old enough to remember that? We certainly are. Now going all the way to weapons, barbarian, that is a huge jump. Part of it that makes it a lot more real for me in the horror genre is that there's a high level of comedy, camp, satire. From what we know in olden days Shakespearean tragedies, you need to have both satire and tragedy.
Bringing a comedy element in is what's been drawing more new horror viewers in. Don't get me wrong, we love a knockdown, drag out, nasty, terrible, bloody, cutthroat, under the bed, in the closet, coming for your mama horror movie. The popularity has been rising because I think there has been balance in these movies to where people can go get freaked out and get a little laugh as well. And you know what? We're here for it.
Yeah, we are. It's just feeling a lot more real these days. This summer is a testament to the realness of horror. I mean, we've had banger after banger after banger after banger. We're gonna get into our scare score in a little bit, so stick around. Our scare scores are getting kind of biased because they're just getting better and better and better and better, and that's rare.
We judge pretty hard over here.
So don't think we're soft, because it's coming. But this has been a great summer for horror movies. Bringing it full circle, I think that the ambiguity that Cregger has given us for the character of Aunt Gladys has just laid the platform for a fantastic character. We want to know what y'all think about her. We want to know what you think about this movie, because there is so much more going on than just Aunt Gladys, and we know this.
We really actually want to talk about it. Was this your favorite movie of the year so far?
I mean, it's hard to say, but yes, it was.
Same. I know your name. Honestly, this kind of movie, the theories are gonna pop off. Oh my God, the fan fiction, can you imagine? Seriously, y'all, get into it with us. Join us, talk about it. We're here, we wanna hear your theories. And you know what, we might even do a follow-up video because this movie was it.
Yeah, we could talk about this one for days. There's an innumerable amount of takes that we could have on this movie because it had so much depth. But this episode right here, this is all about Aunt Gladys. And what's she about? Magic. One thing that we do need to talk about, what is going on with the root of her spell, no pun intended. This spell that she has is incredibly powerful, incredibly potent, and like we said, has to do with blood magic. But what happens when she dies? Is the spell lifted or is it passed on? Now, we asked this question earlier in the episode, but we're about to get into it a little bit because Cregger has left some things open to interpretation here, and we have some theories.
So there's a little bit of a coin toss here. If you think about it, something that powerful, that potent, it can't just go nowhere. So there's a really high chance for transference. Think about it for a second.
There's always an aspect of ancestry or lineage that's rooted in that kind of occult magic. Since Aunt Gladys seems to quite possibly be the aunt of young Alex, there's a high possibility that he is now the owner of said spell because he did cast it at the end when he broke the twig.
So when we're talking about this kind of magic, folks, bloodline, lineage, all these things of sort, it kind of would make sense that Alex is the rightful heir to this, right? But once again, here we go with Zach Cregger hitting us with who knows what's going on, mysteries unfolding layer after layer after layer, because what if Alex just is so traumatized that he just so happened to say, you know what, I seen her do it, let me see if it works, and it just so happened to work. Maybe she's not his aunt, maybe he's not part of the lineage, maybe it's just chaos magic all over the place, which would make sense.
But once again, Zach Cregger just left this 100% open to interpretation. We're unraveling it, and the more we talk about it, the more questions I have. Probably the more questions y'all have. So if you have any questions that have to do with this magic, the personal items that are needed for the spell, any of that, go ahead and throw it in the comments. If you guys loved anything else about this movie, which I'm sure there were plenty of things that you loved about this movie, go ahead and throw those in the comments too, because who knows, we might just make an episode about something else that has to do with this movie because it was so in-depth.
And we know that y'all loved it. We know that it hit all the right marks. I mean, it got what, $200 million in the first 2 weeks?
It's printing money.
And it soared, which means people loved it. Some of y'all have some knowledge about the dark arts. Get in there and talk about it. Oh, because we have things to say.
Which, reeling it back in a little bit, talking about this whole end of the movie, right? Who's holding the leash now? That's the real question. We don't know. We don't know if it's Alex. Gladys is dead, but the kid, they say it takes a couple years for them to start talking again. Some of them don't, some of them do. Something doesn't seem right about the town still. Do you have the same feeling?
Well, yeah, because the kids just started talking 2 years later. We don't know what they said, so they've been in a mute, comatose state. Something's not right. It's still lingering. I personally believe Aunt Gladys was putting in that big work, buddy. So yeah, it's gonna take years. Spells take years to die out. And I think if the kids are talking now, his parents had to go into an asylum or wherever because they are just gone. This kid's traumatized. What if he does have control? What if he thinks I can make sure this won't ever happen ever again, but I gotta do it right? What if he's hearing the tree talk to him? We don't know.
Exactly.
We have no idea. Like, the depth of this was wild.
Dude, I was thinking about that tree. He's just in his room. He's like, oh, this is a nice tree. Maybe I'll just water it for a couple years, you know, watch it grow, see what happens with it. Do you know anything about the symbolism of, wait, what kind of tree was that? Oh, yes, it was a holly tree. What is indicative of the holly tree? The holly man. what is the Holly Man? Y'all know what we're getting at here. And if you don't, tell him, Craig.
Y'all, the Holly Man is a depiction of that good old masculine divine, the aspect of Pan. Some people like to even call him the reason why we're all in a bad state of being right now. I'm not gonna get too into it, but
The devil!
it is the devil, baby.
Labubu!
Y'all stop wearing that thing on your purses and belts and jackets and backpacks.
Labubu, we know your name, aka Pazuzu. What is Alex doing with this holly tree? Where did it go? Now that he knows the spell, he knows how it works. He's just like controlling kids, you know, trying to get them to do things for him. You'd be like, hey, come here, I want those chicken nuggets at lunch. Bah! There's so many possibilities. There could be a sequel to this. There could also be a Aunt Gladys prequel to this because she was such a beloved character.
I want a prequel. How do you feel?
I would love a prequel, but only if Amy Madigan did it, obviously. It would have to be some messed up stuff. I'm talking like, I want to see a real Aunt Gladys horror fest. She maybe did this to a whole town prior, but she succeeded. I want to see what that looks like.
Pre-colonial-esque Aunt Gladys with the little hats and the bonnet and the buckles on the shoes, old classic Salem witch. I'm here for it.
Who knows? Yeah, she could have been a part of like Jamestown, Croatoan, and they all disappeared. It was Aunt Gladys the whole time. As we do with every movie review that we have, it's time for none other than our scare score. Start off with you, Mr. Craig Lamar Traylor. What do you give Weapons?
Let me say, Zach Cregger, your work is amazing. Barbarian was something nobody's ever seen, and it touched me deeply in really horrible ways, and I've scarred a lot of friends off of that movie. Thank you. I'm gonna give this one a 9.5, yo.
Ooh.
It touched my witchy little soul. It was scary, it was real, it was funny, the shots out of this world. And when you go back and think about it, there were so many shots in the movie. They put a lot of work in on this, like, you know, because we understand what it takes to create via cinema. And there were a lot of shots, crazy lighting, lots of thought processes. The acting, clutch, from everybody, the acting was amazing. When you look at the background and you look at BTS, they were having fun, yo.
Yeah, behind the scenes looked like a party. I would have loved to work on that movie personally. Any horror movies coming up, go ahead and give us a call. We're here. That is a very strong 9.5. I'm giving it a 9.5 because I loved it. And I'm not giving it a 10 because I want Zach Cregger to watch this episode and be like, they didn't give me a 10, so I need to make another movie so I can go ahead and get a 10 from Cryptic Cuts because that's what he should be doing. Love you, Zach Cregger. I give it a 9.5. You give it a 9.5. Let's hear what you guys have to say. What did you give it? 1 out of 10. What was your score? Do you rate higher or lower than us? And now, once again, we know that this summer's a little bit weird. We've been at 8s. We've been at 9s. We've been at 9.5s. Our scores are very high. So I know you're probably thinking, oh, they're a little bit soft. They got a soft spot in their heart for the horror movies that are coming out this summer, but they're just really good.
This movie was the best so far, and if something else can top this, if you go back and watch our older videos, we discussed trends, and we're seeing chaoticness. Things don't make any sense, and I think in order for things to be better, they kind of have to not follow no trend.
Yeah, this summer's just been unbelievable. There's been no real trend to the movies that are coming out, other than them being phenomenal legacy movies mixed in with phenomenal new movies. We're super happy with horror this summer, and we're kind of getting spoiled a little bit, so hopefully they keep coming out with bangers.
Ooh, I got a good take. Him, produced by Jordan Peele. I think that might be the best one of the year. I'm just doing a little shout out in the dark, I don't know. He puts out such crazy work. I think that might be the one. If it's better than this, I don't know.
So at the end of the day, Aunt Gladys might look like the cool aunt at the party, you know, the one who's out back drinking Michelob Ultra, smoking Newports right after dinner. But let me tell you, she is much, much, much more than that, as we have come to discover throughout the movie. She is a symbol for trauma, she is a symbol for ruthlessness, and most of all, she is a heavy black magic user. Cregger tells us not to overthink it. We're in the horror community. Of course, you guys know we're all overthinking it.
And you know what? Y'all can come overthink it with us. Let us know what you thought about Weapons in the comments below. There is way more going on in this movie than on Gladys.
There were multiple different chapters for each character. There were so many cool, interesting things going on throughout the movie. Little symbolism, nuance, all sorts of things that, I mean, we could have made an episode on any which one of them.
To really pay attention to how vast the movie was and what Cregger did from his breakout movie, Barbarian, he wanted to keep that same feel of humans being messy, but Barbarian was just raw, nasty human nature. This was human nature being nasty and full-blown occultism and magic. We loved it.
That's right. Guys, stay tuned for the next one. We're going to be bringing you guys the latest and greatest that horror has to offer on a weekly basis. So follow, like, and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.